Simpson Timber Company's centennial in 1990 has been observed through a variety of events involving our employees, retirees, and the community. The train ride attracted over 3,000 people in 2 days and was a great wind-up to Simpson's centennial year. And since Saul Simpson, the company's founder, came to Mason County in 1887 to build railroads, the train ride and the whistle is a perfect way to celebrate the company's 100 years in business.
In the beginning, the idea of a train ride was a modest one. By the time October rolled around, however, the response had nearly overwhelmed the organizers. The original route was shortened, and trips were added to accommodate the extra passengers. Balloons were placed at points along the highway from Shelton to the Sort Yard near Dayton, about 10 miles from town. The train would leave here and head west about 12 miles to a switch point at Canyon River. The weather promised to be dry but cold. Over at the roundhouse, the crew was busy moving the massive turntable in place so that the two locomotives could be linked together to pick up the passenger cars. In the darkness and cold of early morning, you had to stop and wonder, why celebrate this centennial with a train ride? The answer to that question could only be found by looking back in history to the early days of settlement in and around Shelton. The California Gold Rush of 1848 had brought thousands of people out west. Many found themselves finally settling in and around Puget Sound. The area was rich in natural resources and moderate in climate. Timber was seen as a limitless supply. The lumber it produced was needed to build the new towns that were appearing up and down the west coast, as well as to supply the growing eastern markets. At first, the massive fir, hemlock, and cedars could be cut and dragged by oxen to water, then floated to nearby mills. As the cutting continued inland, new methods had to be found to get the logs to water. Railroads were the key. The late 1870s found Saul Simpson moving from Nevada to Seattle for contracting and grading of city streets. The Port Blakely Mill Company then hired Saul to build the rail beds for the company's Puget Sound and Grays Harbor Railroad. He later became the logging superintendent, as well as being in charge of the railroad itself. By the late 1880s, Saul had his own contracting company, S.G. Simpson and Company. During this time, the town of Shelton grew to importance above surrounding communities because it became a rail terminus. Rail companies came and went with the fortunes of their owners. They had names like the Satsip, Seattle Lakeshore and Eastern, Black Lake and Sherman Valley, Washington Southern Railway, Mason County Central, Puget Sound and Pacific Ocean, Shelton Southwestern, and Peninsular Railway. By 1890, steam power was replacing mules, oxen, and horses in the woods. 1897 found loggers and trains as far west as Matlock. In 1896, Simpson Logging placed an order for 2 Heisler steam locomotives. They would be used to pull logs to landings. Tolly was one of these 2 and can be seen today on Railroad Avenue in downtown Shelton. It wasn't until the 1940s that trucks began doing some of the work for Simpson Timber Company that had been done by trains. But even today, you will still find trains playing an important role in the daily operations of the company. After months of planning, locomotives 1200 and 1201 were finally headed out of town, much to the relief and excitement of several event organizers. 30 minutes later, and the train arrives at the Dayton Sort Yard, and passengers are here already to meet it.
Hey, just as quick as we pull these heaters, we'll just couple in and we'll start loading.
Yeah, we got it kind of set up. We load right where we're at. It's pretty dry.
Yes, sir. Load, go ahead and load right where you're at because you're all set up.
Okay.
Cars down there? You don't have them?
How many cars altogether, Frank?
7.
It's an eerie scene in the cold light of dawn as the train waits to make its first run of the weekend. A few late passengers arrive just in time.
Good morning.
Don't forget to pick up your skis. 7 o'clock.
The two locomotives have now switched ends of the train. They are parked over Canyon River to prevent passengers from walking onto the trestle. The excursion pauses here for 10 minutes while people get out, stretch their legs, and take in the beauty of the surrounding forest in the morning light. This is a good time to take a closer look at the passenger cars assembled for this weekend. Each has its own unique history and came here from different parts of the state. The two green cars, numbers 901 and 902, were Southern Pacific commuter cars. Built in 1928, they now serve on summer tourist runs in western Washington. Number 301 was built for the Canadian National Railway in 1920. It is unusual in that it is a combination baggage and passenger car. The two bright red cars are ex-Union Pacific passenger cars built in the early 1900s. They now serve on summer runs for the Chehalis Centralia Tourist Railway. The more modern silver coach was built in 1951 for Amtrak and served on the San Francisco run for many years. The Northern Pacific coach, built in the 1930s, is one of the most luxurious of the cars and remains much as it was when built. It carries summer passengers on the Lake Whatcom Railway. The caboose has served on the Simpson Railway for its entire life. It was completely refurbished and repainted for this centennial year. And of course, there are the two locomotives pulling the train. Both diesel electrics were purchased new from General Motors in 1956 when Simpson converted from steam to diesel. The 12-cylinder, 1,200 horsepower units are really switch engines, but are used as road engines. With the short stop at Canyon River over, the passengers climb back aboard to settle in for the return trip.